Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled "Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco: Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler." Evie Magazine wrote on X, "When you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their character, really underlines just how poorly she carried herself."
Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
The drama behind Disney's chaotic Snow White live-action remake has just gone into overdrive. Things have reached a boiling point, and now Rachel Zegler is reportedly being rushed into an emergency meeting with Disney's top lawyers. Sources close to the situation reveal that the tension between Zegler and the studio has escalated to the point where she was pulled in to discuss some heavy topics. Everything from potentially breaching her contract to the damage it's doing to Disney's image, and even the looming threat of lawsuits. This latest bombshell only adds fuel to the fire of a movie already drowning in problems. From box office flops to endless social...
I'm in the thick of rehearsals for Romeo plus Juliet, so I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now. The Variety story notes how a couple of minutes after posting this, she replied to her own tweet and wrote, "And always remember, free Palestine."
Variety breaks down how after this tweet went viral, the studio was shocked that she would mix a promo tweet with a political statement. As a result, Mark Platt flew to New York to speak with her in person.
Social media roasting and on-set drama, this Snow White remake has been nothing short of cursed since day one. For months, everyone involved, executives, cast members, and even fans, has been pointing fingers, trying to figure out who's responsible for this massive failure. Now, with Rachel Zegler caught in the middle of an emergency meeting with Disney's top lawyers, the drama is escalating to new heights. This raises some serious questions. How did a film with so much hype crash and burn this badly? What does it say about star power and brand loyalty when the public's watching your every move so closely? And just when you think it couldn't get crazier, this legal drama dropped right after reports surfaced that Disney's been scrambling to find ways to cover the financial wreckage from this box office disaster. Critics tore it apart, audiences walked out, and now Disney is left to pick up the pieces. At first, the studio tried to spin the situation, hinting that stars like Zegler and Gal Gadot had possibly violated promo rules or disrespected the classic 1937 Snow White film in ways that harmed the brand. But now, Zegler's team is firing back, saying this flop wasn't just a result of one actor's public comments. They're claiming there was internal sabotage and shady power plays behind the scenes. The fact that Zegler was suddenly pulled into a high-stakes meeting with Disney's legal team shows how serious this has gotten. This could escalate into full-blown lawsuits if talks fall apart. This isn't just another celebrity scandal. It's turning into a major Hollywood showdown, where studios and stars are battling for control over the public narrative. With millions of dollars on the line, the stakes for Disney couldn't be higher. This isn't just any movie. They're messing with Snow White, the iconic film that helped Walt Disney rise to prominence and kicked off their golden era. Expectations for Disney's live-action Snow White remake were sky-high. Flashy budget, a star-studded cast, and a storyline, revamped for today's world. But when it finally hit theaters, boom, reality check. Critics tore it apart for straying too far from the magic of the original, and die-hard Disney fans were furious. They accused the studio of abandoning the heart of the original Snow White just to chase what's trendy. Things got way worse behind the scenes at Disney HQ, though. when it became clear this movie wasn't just going to flop.
Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Zegler isn't the only one who has made political statements, though. Her co-star Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, expressed her staunch support for Israel.
Snow White's budget was around $240 to $270 million. It has made $43 million domestically so far and around $84 million globally per box.
It could actually damage the legacy tied to the Snow White name. So, what did Disney do? They rushed Rachel Zegler into an emergency sit-down with top lawyers, scrambling to save their public image while bracing for a legal storm that could blow everything wide open. This mess shows just how risky it is to remix beloved classics. Disney's caught in a tight spot, trying to update fairy tales for a modern audience without losing the old-school magic that built the empire in the first place. The film received backlash for multiple reasons in the lead-up to its release. Zegler had called the original Snow White movie dated and weird, and even said Prince Charming was a stalker. One magazine posted on X, "When you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their characters, it really highlights just how poorly she carried herself." Insiders say Zegler didn't show up alone. She brought her legal team with her, ready for battle. That move alone proves she knew things were about to get heated. Sources say Disney's biggest issue was Zegler's interviews and posts online, where she reportedly called the prince creepy and took shots at the original storyline. Now, the studio might argue that she crossed the line and violated part of her contract, which says cast members must respect and protect Disney's legacy. But Zegler's team isn't backing down. They claim she was just following orders. According to them, Disney told the cast to lean into the film's new, progressive twist. This clash could turn into a full-on legal showdown. What started as bold, forward-thinking commentary is now being flipped into something much more serious: possible contract violations. If Disney decides to play hardball, this could go full legal battle. This situation exposes how fast creative direction can turn into a legal trap for stars when a movie bombs. Zegler is walking a tightrope right now, caught in a legal storm, and she's not the only one. People are starting to whisper about Gal Gadot too. While she hasn't been dragged into any emergency meetings, folks are noticing how she's been dodging direct questions about the chaos surrounding the film. Quickly worth mentioning, the son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, Jonah Platt, is speaking out publicly, blaming Rachel Zegler for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office. He might be right. Of course, as we've covered, the movie was terrible anyway, and probably would have underperformed regardless. People are tired of these soulless cash-grab remakes. Insiders are also buzzing that Gadot's contract might include strict media, behavior rules, and a mandate to protect the brand. If that's the case, Disney's lawyers could be coming for her next. For now, Zegler is taking the brunt of the heat. Disney is laser-focused on her, and it's shining a bright spotlight on how even the biggest names in Hollywood can get burned when the cameras stop rolling and the contracts kick in. Just because someone's a household name doesn't mean they're safe from studio pressure when a film crashes and burns. This situation is exposing the real tension in Hollywood. The actors who say they followed the studio's lead, and the studios that want someone to blame when things go south. It's a brutal reminder that when the spotlight fades, the legal battles begin. Before this legal chaos exploded, red flags were already going off inside Disney's executive offices. Test audiences had given early feedback that the film's modern tone stripped away the charm and magic that made Snow White a classic. Major changes to the characters, especially the dwarves, sparked one of the biggest controversies. Fans were shocked by how much had been altered or erased. Disney had warning signs, but no one expected the backlash to hit this hard. The movie has a ton of problems that could be pinned on the producer. The producer didn't do a good job. No one did, really, apart from all the political controversy, started by the actress. The movie had creative and conceptual issues as soon as those first trailers dropped. Social media went wild, and not in a good way. People were furious, saying this version completely trashed the heart of the original story. Some blasted the movie for pushing too much social messaging, while others mourned the loss of that light, whimsical magic that made the original timeless. Then came Zegler's interviews, and that's when the fire really flared up. Her sound bites, especially the ones mocking the romance in the original film, became lightning rods online. Fans weren't having it, and the outrage exploded. This whole mess shows how one viral moment can derail everything. Forget the years of planning or the insane budget. One soundbite can blow up the whole thing. Zegler, though, is fighting back. She doesn't want to be labeled as the one who tanked the movie. Leaked messages hint that the studio actually told the cast to push the modern and empowering spin on the new Snow White. So, was she really going rogue, or just doing what Disney asked? Turns out, Disney might have handed out talking points that clashed hard with the vibe of the 1937 original, especially when it came to romance and gender roles. There's no doubt that Zegler drove the final nail into this movie's coffin. She probably drove the final 2 or 3 nails. A lot of what you see with Zegler is the typical Gen Z mentality toward work, based on these new revelations. Zegler feels like she's being thrown under the bus for saying things that were completely in line with what Disney's own promo team told her to say. If that's true, then Disney flipping the script and blaming her now is looking pretty shady. But with that emergency legal meeting in motion, it's clear that if they can't settle things behind closed doors, Disney might go full throttle, trying to claw back money or fix the PR mess. This whole saga shows how dangerous it gets for actors when a studio changes direction after a movie drops. Suddenly, the cast is caught in the middle, trying to protect themselves while the brand scrambles to do damage control behind the scenes. It's not just about the stars anymore. Rumors say there's a deep split within Disney leadership itself. Some execs were all in on making this a bold, modern reboot, but others warned that messing too much with the dwarfs, the love story, and the fairy tale feel could backfire with loyal families. Zegler even hinted that things got sabotaged from the top, suggesting some powerful execs may have undercut the film's direction, possibly for their own gain, whether it was about politics or money. If that's true, this drama goes way deeper than just bad press. No matter which side had the right vision, the end result was a total mess. Audiences were hit with a version of Snow White that looked nothing like the classic they remembered, yet still carried that legendary name. If clashing. Executive agendas really led to this disaster. People are asking, why is Disney so focused on legal action now instead of owning up to any of it? Zegler believes she should be able to express herself and speak her truth. But in reality, she has a job. She signed on the dotted line, took the role, and that job comes with certain responsibilities. This whole situation exposes how chaotic things get when power players push their own agendas under one massive brand. And the consequences are hitting everybody: the actors, the fans, and the company's image. And it doesn't stop there. Now, Disney's shareholders are speaking up, and they're not happy either. Some are worried that the Snow White fallout is a sign of something bigger going wrong behind the scenes. These remakes have been huge moneymakers, but if the studio keeps alienating longtime fans, that money train could run off the tracks. People have connected with Disney across generations, and blowing that trust could hurt much worse than just one box office flop. If Disney is trying to punish or blame someone like Rachel Zegler, it's not just about lawyers and contracts. It's about the very core of what the Disney brand stands for. If Zegler publicly calls out Disney for going back on its own game plan or turning its back on the cast, the fallout could explode even harder than it already has. This whole mess is showing just how fast a mega brand like Disney can get dragged into scandal, especially if people think it's ditching its core values when things go sideways. One of the most basic of those values is the responsibility to control yourself publicly, so you don't harm the project, and, in turn, harm the hundreds of people working on it. Zegler might not be totally dumb, but she's not so naive as to not realize that calling out Trump supporters in such a dramatic way didn't help her case. Now, leaked internal emails are pouring gasoline on the fire. These emails are painting a messy picture of what was happening behind the scenes at Disney long before the public even saw the first trailer. Some emails show that execs were already nervous about the film's direction months before the release, meaning they saw the storm coming, and still let it happen. Other leaked notes reveal that the marketing team pulled a sharp U-turn once the online backlash exploded. They reportedly told staff to tone down Zegler's interviews and promo clips, but by then, it was too late. Artut, face and voice were already attached to statements about changing outdated fairy tale tropes, making her the easiest target when things turned sour. Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messages. He said, "Infusing messaging is not what we're up to. We need to be entertaining." But as Snow White sales compete for worst-performing live-action Disney adaptation ever, this whole saga reminds us of something brutal about Hollywood. When you go bold with a creative risk, you either strike gold or face total collapse. And right now, this one's teetering on full-blown disaster. Sometimes it's both at once, chaos behind the scenes and confusion in the spotlight. Others are a bit more chill. They get that stories evolve with the times, but even they're frustrated at how badly the PR's been handled. Now, with Zegler pulled into a legal showdown, it's all coming to a boiling point. The Disney brand, carefully built over decades, is hanging by a thread. And if the studio goes too far trying to pin this on one actor, when boardroom decisions might be just as much to blame, that could blow up in their face, big time. If you're still following this wild ride, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the drama. Drop your thoughts below. Who do you think is really at fault? And as always, see you on the next one.